about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So happy Veterans Day. God bless all our troops, everybody who has sacrificed for our freedom. There's not enough words to describe how grateful we all should be to anybody that has sacrificed for us or served and is continuing to serve. And you know what's interesting about Veterans Day, which started out as Armistice Day, marking the end of World War I. And Dwight D. Eisenhower, I believe, was the one that made it into a federal holiday. And I don't, people say, well, let's just change it to make it a 3-day weekend. No, it's supposed to be November 11th. That's the day. That's the day that Armistice Day was originally. That's the day Veterans Day is. This shouldn't be about a 3-day weekend. Now, I don't like that when we take a day and say, well, let's make a 3-day weekend out of it and, barbecue some hot dogs. That's not the point. We're supposed to take this day to remind us that every day, by the way, we should be honoring our military and honoring those that fight for us. And what I am noticing on an everyday basis is that we treat them like crap. I am noticing that we are not at all putting our military in focus like we should. Now, things have changed with Pete Hegseth, but in general, this shutdown, for example, when we were telling the senators, look, if you don't pass the CR, which you've approved before, our military doesn't get paid. Didn't phase them in the least. I mean, luckily, there was a buddy of Trump that donated money to help pay for our active military. But really, if I was in the military and I saw senators that were elected in my state not give a damn if I got a paycheck or not, when many of them, I think the average salary is $25,000 a year. It's not a lot. When they're not making that much to begin with, I mean, how much do you want to put your life on the line for these people? No, it's about Obamacare and the tax credits, and so that's ridiculous. Number two is, the VA system has gotten an overhaul and it's getting better, but we should not have veterans who have served, continuing to serve, feel that they need to go to civilian medical centers to get the care they need. The medical care that should be given to our veterans should be just as good as anywhere else. And I still hear that there's that discrepancy. Not to mention, look how many soldiers are dying, enlisted, retired, or dying of suicide or mental illness, and what support are we providing to them? I mean, thank God for Wounded Warriors and Tunnel to Towers and a lot of these organizations that have taken it on them to let's raise money and help them because they got injured defending our freedom, first responders, etc. And God bless them, but it shows you the amount of money they need. I mean, these Tunnel to Tower commercials, they cost a pretty penny, going as long as they do on for the commercial to kind of show us and say, look, this is what we're doing. We need money, $11 a day or whatever. Wounded Warriors, so many U.S. vets. There's so many amazing charities out there trying to help our veterans. And instead, what we just did, and the shutdown still isn't over, thank God. 7 Democrats and an independent who caucuses with the Democrats said, you know what, we're going to sign the CR. Enough is enough. Thank God they did that. But if I was in the military or if I was a veteran and I was worried about, my benefits, and I'd be like, really, people? Really? Come on, man. And I don't know if it was Vietnam War. I don't know when things changed where people coming back from serving overseas or doing a tour or manning a post here to keep us safe went from being idolized to then being treated like crap. And I really got mad at what we just saw the last 40 days, where when, you would think any U.S. senator that is able to be a senator and make the cush salary they're making is there because of the men and women in the military. And when you would say, look, guys, first thing, I mean, not even talking about air traffic controllers and TSA, the military won't get paid. Within 5 milliseconds, they should have said, okay, no. You know what? No. We got to be done deal. Not signing the CR, if that really screws things over, and it was a CR they signed before. And I don't want to make this political because Veterans Day should be honoring our veterans. But if you really want to honor your veterans, I don't want to hear one senator who wouldn't sign the CR to get our military paid doing posts like, oh, happy Veterans Day. We love our veterans and we love our military. And we love, really? Didn't look it to me. Okay, they look kind of selfish. And this really bothers me. There are so many things we could, if you also want to honor our military and honor our veterans, let's ask them, what is it that they want? Do they want to feel secure? Do they want climate change? Do they want border security? Do they want, what are their voices heard? Unfortunately, people just, you got the GI Bill and, that was your choice and whatever. And then it's just a once a day celebration. I mean, people lost their lives. People lost their limbs. Not to mention, I like to also honor on Veterans Day the families who sacrificed. Giving up your 18-year-old son, not easy. And some people lost all their children. When you look back to all the wars and all the things that these men and women had to do, and one day is not enough. And if our current senators and legislatures want to use Obamacare as an excuse to not pay our military, then can we please finally get rid of Obamacare? Because that was a mess. Thank you to all our troops, men, women, all who have served, all who have sacrificed. God bless you. 1-877-Doc-Dolly.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the FDA is finally adjusting this black box warning on HRT for women's menopausal symptoms. And this is something that a lot of doctors have been saying it's about flipping time. The HRT warnings have been a real thorn in our side. Not to mention, I can't tell you how many doctors have gotten sued when the science wasn't necessarily all there. And this has been an absolute cluster. And one thing I really, really credit the Marty McCary and RFK Jr. is and the Health and Human Services Department and the MAHA movement is, let's take a look and see what we're doing and reevaluate the science. That's kind of what we do in science. And is this the best way to move forward? Are we causing more harm than good? And so back in the 90s, I remember the doctor I trained under had said it was malpractice if you didn't give a woman estrogen as she was going through menopause. And he had said that you don't want to have a woman go through the drastic change of menopause, lose the bone mass, because one of the highest proportions of percentages of bone mass loss is during the first few years of menopause, putting them at risk for heart disease, because women's heart disease risk, this was in the 90s, women's heart disease risk would be pale in comparison to males until after menopause. And then women would die of heart disease at very similar rates to men after menopause. So back in the 90s, the thinking was we got to get them on HRT, get them on estrogen. If they have a uterus, they need progesterone. You can't just do unopposed estrogen because then you could cause endometrial cancer. So you would give them an estrogen progesterone compound. If they had a hysterectomy, they would be on estrogen only. And if you didn't, malpractice. Well, there were some studies looking at, for some women, there could be heart attack risk, cardiovascular risk. And I remember in Journal Club seeing that study, bringing it up, and I got yelled at. I was like, well, just one study. I mean, there's all these other evidence that HRT is safe in women. And I said, look, I think it's different strokes for different folks. I think if this one study is suggesting there's heart disease risk, we might need to listen. And we just might need to understand that it's not a one size fits all, that, we should take a look and see, what it is our patient needs, their risks, whatever. But all I know is the doctors didn't like that study until it got echoed in 2002 with the Women's Health Initiative, where there was risk of heart disease, blood clots, and concerns about breast cancer as it pertained to hormone replacement therapy. In fact, there was a woman trying to debunk, a female researcher, trying to debunk the study, going, no, estrogen protects the heart. Let me show you. I'm on it. And she ends up dying of heart disease. So it was a very confusing time at that time, because there were these products. We were told as doctors, we got to protect the bones. We have to protect their heart. Not to mention it helped with dementia. It helped with a whole variety of things. It helped with arthritis. I mean, it just women felt better. They were active more. In fact, it even helped with weight loss. Studies even showed that if you were on hormone replacement therapy, you didn't get the menopausal weight gain that a lot of other people do. And so then, now that helps the joints. So you have some doctors thinking, okay, well, this is, I need to be giving them estrogen. But then you have the other studies the other thought of, well, are we going to cause a heart attack? Are we going to cause breast cancer? So I told you I had a patient where she was having high blood pressure. And I asked her, I go, look, I know your gynecologist is giving you estrogen. How much in love are you with this estrogen? She's like, I really don't like it. I don't want to take it. I go, well, let me stop your estrogen temporarily and see if your blood pressure improves. Her blood pressure improves. She's happy. I was seeing her whole family for years. And then 9 months later, she goes and does her mammogram, and we find, I think it was stage 2 breast cancer. We get that addressed. She lives through it, does all fine and dandy. But then her husband reaches out to me saying his lawyer is going to sue every doctor that ever gave her the estrogen. Now I said, and that they need the records. I go, not a problem. I know I've taken care of your family for years. That's how you want to thank me, fine. But if you notice, I never wrote her a prescription for the estrogen. I only gave her, I'm the one that actually took her off because of her blood pressure. So I was the only one that wasn't listed in this massive lawsuit that the family did to sue for the mom getting breast cancer. Well, doctors seeing this then got scared even more, going, wait a second, if 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and I'm going to get blamed because black box warnings and, saying, well, this could cause breast cancer. Well, then, you know what? We don't do hormones here. So then you had women not getting hormones. And listen, I know you think us, taking hormones make us, not getting hormones, we get grumpy too. And it was an absolute mess. So what's happening now, and now we're fast forwarding to 2025, finally somebody's taking a look, going, look, let's take a look at what we are doing with this. And black box warnings basically tell the consumer that there's a risk, and that black box warning is for liability, so that the patient is aware that there's a risk. The pharmaceutical company gets protected from liability. And then if a doctor ignores a black box warning, it allows then the lawyers to sue, saying that there's a black box warning, you knew about that. So this black box warning can help, but it could also hurt. So we need to make sure that the black box warning is used properly. With great power comes great responsibility. That black box warning is a big, powerful sucker, just like a black box of a plane, aircraft. The black box is very important. And so for that to be used willy-nilly, not necessarily in the best interest of the patient, of the provider, it needs to be reevaluated. So Dr. McCary, Martin McCary, had said that the FDA is starting to initiate the removal of this black box warning from hormone replacement therapy. He said this is backed by decades of research on the therapy's benefits, and clinical trials do not support earlier fears linking it to higher breast cancer mortality. Now, some of us doctors are like, okay, they're going to be very, very careful with their wording. And I have said this from the beginning. I don't believe if you take estrogen that your breasts are all of a sudden going to become cancerous. But where all this fear came from is if you have an estrogen sensitive type of breast cancer, giving estrogen, will it, shall we say, propagate it? Because your body has estrogen already. Your estrogen doesn't go to zero. Your fat makes estrogen. And so you have estrogen, even when you're menopausal. Men have estrogen too. But your levels might be too low for you to be able to function and deal with your vasomotor symptoms and your insomnia and your bone mass, etc. So us giving you estrogen, that's not what's going to give you the breast cancer. If you're going to get breast cancer, you're going to get breast cancer. But will it accelerate it? And if we fight the breast cancer, if it's an estrogen sensitive type, estrogen receptor, if we then minimize your estrogen, will that help your treatment? That still stays true. All right. If you have an estrogen sensitive breast cancer, we're not going to give you estrogen. But we're also not going to say that if you're healthy and your mammograms are clear and we have you take hormone replacement therapy, now that's going to turn you into a cancer patient. That was always wrong. I never thought the medicine caused cancer. But yes, if you were prone, could it accelerate it? Now, I remember talking to the rep of Prempro saying, don't doctors realize that this is a good thing? I didn't agree with her. She said, this helps you find the cancer sooner. If it does accelerate the cancer, now you find it sooner. No, I don't buy that. No. So anybody getting hormone replacement therapy is always asked to have a mammogram, have their heart checked, so that we know we're not hurting you. If you are at high risk for heart disease, blood clots, etc., we're not going to give you the HRT. So the black box warning for it can cause breast cancer is wrong. If it can worsen outcomes in estrogen-sensitive breast cancer or heart disease patients, that could be in the black box warning. So it does need to be adjusted. So I really commend, I know it seems a little confusing, but I really do commend the FDA for getting on top of this, finally. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So November is Men's Health Awareness Month. Now, yesterday we spoke about cancer and lung cancer being one of the top cancer killers. But now we want to switch gears and talk about prostate and skin cancer. And it is amazing at what we have now been able to do in terms of revolutionizing cancer treatments. And I am very, very excited about our next guest, Dr. Raza Bokhari, MD, Executive Chairman and CEO of Medicus Pharma, Ltd., to talk to us about some of the new cancer treatments we have and latest innovations. Dr. Bokhari, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daliah, for making time for us on your program.
Wow. You are a gift, and we are so grateful to have you. By the way, congratulations. You're a recipient of the Philadelphia Business Journal's 40 Under 40 Award. So pretty fantastic, a lot of the work you've done, and we appreciate it. So talk to us about, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All it means is that you, at the time I was under the age of 40, and I had an IQ of above 40, and I figured out a way to make more than $40,000. That's all what it means. But what a great acknowledgement back then. Now I am a little bit more getting close to over the hump, about to cross 60. So that was a long time ago. But thank you for mentioning that.
Yes, they need more awards like that in that age group for us. But I love that you're here talking about prostate and skin cancer. Talk to us about what men need to know about the risks. Dr.
Daliah, as you mentioned, that this is a Men's Health Month, and prostate and skin cancer are amongst the most common cancer amongst men. When it comes to skin cancer, it is gender agnostic. It is the most common cancer, not just in the United States, but around the world. Wherever there is sun, ultraviolet radiation and exposure, an exposed skin surface, that's the breeding ground. And we see 5 million new cases in the United States alone for non-melanoma skin diseases. And amongst men, this number is staggeringly high, more than 1 million or so patients. So early wellness checks, protecting from sunlight, sunscreens, and any suspicious lesions that should not go unattended. A professional checkup will go a long way to prevent it, but nonetheless, it's a substantial problem. Prostate cancer, 300,000 new cases are diagnosed every year in the United States. It will go a long way if men that are 50 years and above regularly get a PSA screening test, have annual checkups. That could certainly catch it early and have a full treatment available. But nonetheless, we get 300,000 patients, and 300,000 to 500,000 are living with lifelong treatment therapies for advanced stage prostate cancer. So this is a substantial health risk for all of us.
Now, I know we don't have too much time with you, but I'm dying to hear of some of these treatments, these new innovations. Talk to us about those.
For skin cancer, especially basal cell carcinoma, we have been advancing for nearly 10 years in novel, non-invasive microneedle array skin patch that comes out of Carnegie Mellon and University of Pittsburgh. We tip load those microneedles with a known chemotherapeutic agent and apply it directly at the site of the lesion. That triggers an immunogenic response and kills these cancer cells. We have advanced quite well. We have just sat in a Type C meeting with the FDA. We hope that we know that we will get a fast track designation, and we could have a commercially viable treatment available, hopefully in 2+ years, which could reshape how we approach skin cancer treatment and also makes it cost effective and easily accessible, not just in the United States, but around the world. And quickly on prostate cancer, there are treatment modalities where most of the prostate cancer requires hormone suppression, but it is plagued by comorbidities, especially cardiovascular risk profile. And we have a next generation antagonist, a hormone suppressing agent that we believe could be cardioprotective, because cardiovascular mortality is the leading cause of death in men with prostate cancer. So we hope that we can improve patient outcomes.
Gosh, it's amazing that we've gone this far. I can't wait to have you back, but let my listeners know, where can they find out more information on these treatments?
They can come to medicuspharma.com or go to nasdaq.com and click on our ticker MDCX for more up-to-date information.
That's fantastic. And boy, is it going to improve care. Not to mention, we have so many men who are apprehensive of getting prostate cancer screening because they're worried about the treatment, and knowing that the treatment can be cardioprotective as well is huge. And, so Dr. Bokhari, this has been so helpful. One more time, the website for my listeners.
medicuspharma.com.
Appreciate you.
Our website, and we appreciate you very much, Dr. Dahlia, for giving us some time.
Awesome. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you, Dr. Bokhari. All right, we are back in the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. It's interesting. Now, the guys in my family, the men in my family say, gosh, I would not want to be a woman having to do pap smears, having to do, mammograms and all that. On the other end, I think the opposite, where I would, hate to have a prostate. You can't check the prostate. I would always be worried about my prostate health if I was a man. I mean, for me, I've had a hysterectomy, so my ovaries are gone, my uterus is gone. And so the breasts I could keep an eye on because they're out there. Sometimes too much out there. But with the prostate, that's intimidating. And I really feel bad, for men having that worry of what's going on. And, thank God we have fantastic ways to screen. And I get the apprehension that men have, but the treatment could be, the cure could be worse than the disease. And they're worried about going through the radiation, therapy, or the prostatectomy, or the surgery, or other sorts of therapy for that. But I got to tell you, when we find the cancer early, it's treatable with everything, just like with skin cancer. I would be frightened out of my mind to have melanoma that's spread throughout my body. But if you pick up on that skin cancer early, it's life-saving. Remember the A, B, C, D, E, F. If you have a mole and it doesn't look, and I know he was talking about basal cell carcinoma, which are little cute pink pearly round lesions, but melanoma could be a very odd asymmetrical shape where you draw a line through it. It's not symmetrical on both sides. B for border, where the border is irregular and it's not nice and smooth. C is color, where it could be variegated in color, not a nice smooth brown like a freckle, but it could have pink and red and brown. That could be a melanoma, or different shades of brown. D is diameter. If it's greater than a centimeter or a pencil eraser, that's a concern in terms of a skin lesion, to get that checked out. E is for evolving or elevating. F is for if it's growing fast. I like F for fast. And the A, B, C, D, E, Fs, to help you, screen for some cancer. And when in doubt, just have us doctors check it out. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So hopefully major crisis averted with the shutdown going longer than it needed to. It should have never even gone on that long. And so we are hoping that the government reopens by Wednesday night. It's a shame it's not open now, but after the Senate finally got approval by 7 Democrats who crossed the line and 1 independent that caucuses with the Democrats to say, you know what, okay, finally, I guess they got the 60-40 votes that they needed to pass the bill. It goes to the Senate, the House, goes back to the House. Now, Republicans do control the House. They have 219 seats against the Democrats' 213. Some are worried that there could be a couple Republicans that say, I don't want the spending. I don't want the I would think that would be a bad move. According to BBC News, Thomas Massie of Kentucky has repeatedly voted against stopgap funding extensions and is expected to vote no on this bill. Now, if that happens, then they get another, let's say, I don't know, Brad Paul. He doesn't like the spending. He was apparently, I think, the only, but he's a senator, so I wouldn't have to worry about him. But if there are other House members that, say, you know what, yeah, I don't know if I'm 100% on board with this, that could prolong the shutdown. We don't believe that's going to happen. I think everybody, especially Democrats, saw that this was not popular. This was crushing. It's Veterans Day, for crying out loud, and you're not funding our military? Come on, man. And so I think it's going to pass through the House. I know these media outlets want to, make drama and all that. No. What, though, is an issue is the travel chaos. When I was very surprised that Congress wasn't in Washington hanging out already. I was a little shocked. Now, I understand the shutdown went on for at least 40, 41 days, maybe more. But I'm a little surprised that everybody wasn't on standby, such that when we finally got the Senate to come to their senses, Senate Democrats to come to their senses, the House would be ready to go, and then Trump could get the bill that day. But I understand with things going on that long, people have families, they went home. And this all happened Sunday night, and here we are on Tuesday, hoping that everybody gets back. And they believe that by Wednesday, that allowed for 2-3 days of flight delays to be able to hopefully get everybody back to vote on this. So I do believe they will. So what is in the bill? So the Senate did vote finally with the Democrats moving over to the other side, realizing that, people were in pain and they weren't really representing their constituents. They're going to fund the military construction, according to Veterans Affairs, Department of Agriculture, and the legislative branch through September 30th of next year, and the rest of the government through January 30th. From what I understand, SNAP benefits are going to be protected through the September 30th, so this BS doesn't happen again. The bill passed the Senate after the Democrats joined the GOP in the vote, and then the House is reconvening on Wednesday to vote on the bill. Once they do, it goes to the president's desk, and then finally we are open, hopefully by Wednesday night. Now, the Democrats maintain that the Affordable Care Act tax credits expiry needed to be extended. Well, the Senate Republicans agreed to hold a vote on the subsidies. The Democrats wanted that snuck into the CR, which I think is a mistake. Obamacare is a cluster and a seventh. The last thing you want to do is to take a clean CR that's bipartisan, that everybody has approved of before, and now stick Obamacare. Obamacare is so toxic. Now, with the exception of the pre-existing conditions and physicals being covered, the bill sucks. So do you really want to, mess something that's clean with something toxic? But this current deal would allow for a vote being held the second week of December to extend the tax credits. Democrats keep saying health insurance is unaffordable. That was their fault. We predicted that with Obamacare. But they're blaming the Republicans on the premiums being unaffordable. The subsidies can be will be about trillions of dollars to cover the Obamacare subsidies. This is not cheap. But until we get rid of Obamacare and come up with Trump Care or something new, it's going to be, we have to spend that money. I should say billions. The continuing resolution allows the government to be funded until January 30th, gives lawmakers time to craft full year spending bills. The Senate deal also carries, they say, according to The Hill, a 3-year-long funding bill called a minibus. It funds the Department of Agriculture, funding for SNAP, military construction, and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Another minibus allows for salaries and allowances to go towards the legislative branch. Furloughed workers will come back to work with back pay, and the deal will reverse any Trump administration layoffs. Any layoffs that were, quote, proposed, noticed, initiated, executed, implemented, or otherwise taken by an executive agency between October 1 and the day of enactment shall have no force or effect, according to the resolution. Now, the resolution prohibits federal funds from being used to initiate, carry out, implement, or otherwise notice a reduction in force to reduce the number of employees within any department, agency, or office of the federal government until January 30th, which means everybody gets to keep their jobs until January 30th. So that's kind of pretty good there. I understand there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And I understand Trump wants to take our big government and make it smaller. I don't blame him for that. But who are you firing? These aren't the people who's doing the remote work that didn't want to come back to the office. Those people already got a deal to retire early and get money paid through September 30th. So we're talking about the people that didn't want to do remote, that was perfectly fine with coming back boots on the ground to the office, come to work and work. So, I want individuals who really want to work to be able to still keep their job. And so I think we're now, 42 days into this? And the Republicans didn't have to break the filibuster, forcing then the not 60 votes. And I think they were right. I think, Democrats finally listened to their constituents, then Chuck Schumer. The progressive wing is very mad. They said we should have fought harder. We should have fought harder. For what? Obamacare? You guys came up with Obamacare. They wanted to use this for leverage. They even said it. They were like, this is our only leverage. Even one of the senators was even saying how, I understand people are getting hurt, but this is our only time for leverage. What makes you think that the Americans give a heart and doot about what, the cause? All right, their cause should be your cause, should be an American cause. Get fed. Make sure our food banks are for our homeless and not federal workers who are getting cush salaries, but not because you won't pay them, because you won't fund the shutdown. And from what I'm hearing, I don't think we have the details, but I think the government is going to make sure that this doesn't happen again, where every time there's a CR, you have this BS back and forth. And Republicans did it, during the Biden administration, where we're going to shut down the government if we don't get what we want. No. That's not how the CR works. Now, I get that we have to agree on funding, and I get that it does take, it does take reevaluation of it. But what happened here, where it was something completely esoteric, not even included in the CR, being brought up as leverage, that can't happen. So hopefully we reopen tomorrow. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So would you ever pay somebody to scratch your back? Like have a professional back scratcher? Apparently that's a thing. And, it's interesting because we get to a point where we can't scratch our own bodies. I'm getting to that point where I don't know if I have rotator cuff issues, but there's a spot on my back right there. It's in between my scapula where the rhomboids are, where I can't reach it from here and I can't reach it from here. And so there's this little zone, and that's where I itch. And I'll rub up against a wall. I can't rub up against a door handle because the door handle's too low for that. I'll try to find something of that height, or I have to ask my husband or somebody to scratch my itch on my back. And so I didn't realize that there's actually a market for this. I was reading on Fox News that apparently there are professional back scratchers. There is a family-run business called Scratcher Girls. They operate a studio in Miami Gardens and a weekend booth at Hollywood's Yellow Green Farmers Market. Oh, the farmers market. And so they charge $74.99 for 30 minutes and $129.99 an hour. You could get scratchy, you could get hair play. It feels good when somebody's braiding your hair. I don't personally like, my hairdresser is so cool with me because my scalp is really kind of tender. And so when the hair pulls, I'm like, ow. So I'm not really big on somebody braiding or touching my hair. But many individuals love the feel of a scratch. They might go to a masseuse and get massages, but what about scratching the surface? And so apparently there's people that do this. There's an art to it. And I noticed my kids are always like, Mom, scratch my back. When they were younger, they loved back scratching. Scratch my back, scratch my back. And I'm like, is the itch gone? And they're like, no. But it feels good when you scratch my back. And I'm like, you got red lines, and because my nails are long, all over your back, just okay, enough with the scratching. You'll get more itchy. But why do we itch? Well, it's interesting. It's an immune response, and it's a body's way to protect yourself. There's a variety of reasons why we itch. Your medications can make you itch, like narcotics. You could have liver disease, kidney disease. But itching was designed by the body as a immune response. So when your mast cells release histamine and you have an allergic response to something, your body is trying to tell you that something's wrong. Your body is trying to tell you that you were exposed to something that you probably shouldn't do. And so the fact that you need to itch and you need to scratch, or you're itchy and you need to scratch, is kind of like a negative feedback mechanism. Another thing, too, like chickenpox. People will get chickenpox when they used to get chickenpox before the vaccine, and they would want to itch and scratch. And I remember, patients would say, why would this virus make you itch? Well, because maybe the body, when you itch, it's the body's way of you trying to get it out or induce your immune response. So when you scratch yourself, that scratch also wakes up your immune system. So it's like a second layer of there's like a second wall that reminds the body, okay, you need to fight this. Some people with acne, they say they can't stop messing with their pimples. They itch, they bother them. Well, that's the body's way of people trying to get the pus out. Like with acne, your body will take immune cells, try to wrap up the acne bacterium, and then package it and then expel it out. And if it doesn't on its own get out there, by erupting, your body might itch so that you scratch it and then it comes out. You got to be careful, though, because scratching could cause scarring. Scratching could cause more scratching, could cause more rash, could cause more skin inflammation. Remember, our skin is protective. So we want to protect our skin. Our skin is the biggest barrier, one of the most important barriers as it pertains to infectious disease. Not to mention, it also keeps in your fluid, hydration. So you don't want to hurt one of the most important barriers. This is our skin keeps us alive. Yes, the brain does too, the heart does, but if you didn't have your skin, you would just fall apart. So you need your skin, and you need your skin intact. So as just to quickly review, I don't know if I would actually pay for somebody to scratch. You keep in mind, they should wear gloves, because if they do nick your skin, like I broke a nail coming down the mountain the other night. And so, if you scratch somebody and they bleed, now you could introduce infectious disease. So I don't know if I would hire a professional back scratcher, but there's a lot of conditions that might make you itch. Atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, contact dermatitis like poison ivy. You have chronic hives, chronic urticaria, scabies. Some people are calling up going, I am just itching everywhere, and I don't know what I'm allergic to. And I go, well, one, you need to get this checked out and get some allergy testing, but have them check you for scabies. Scabies can burrow. It's a little parasite that'll burrow into your skin, and when the babies are hatched, it becomes very, very itchy. Why does it itch? Because your body wants to get you to pick them out. Problem is once scabies infest you can't scratch them all out. You'll be bleeding. So we use permethrin. We use a shampoo to knock it out. But if you are chronically itching, get your kidneys checked, get your liver checked. For those of you who drank a lot of alcohol and might have liver cirrhosis, those bile salts and or your disequilibrium of your liver metabolizing what it needs to, it can cause you to itch. Certain endocrine disorders, thyroid issues can cause you to itch. Certain blood disorders like being anemic, polycythemic, and interestingly, cancer could. What I don't want to worry you all, but I keep hearing from family members that, he kept scratching this one part of his body. Well, that could have been he misinterpreted the growth of a tumor as something that was itching him. So get yourself checked out if you chronically itch. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's Aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So clinical depression or major depressive disorder is one of the most common mental health disorders, with almost 21 million adults in the United States having experienced at least one major depressive episode. That doesn't include the numbers of people with dysthymia and mild depression that can lead to major depression. So as mental health continues to be an increasing prevalent crisis in the United States, we are really, really excited about Dr. Lisa Harding, board-certified psychiatrist and medical director at Depression MD, and Mark, who lives with treatment-resistant depression. They are joining us as we discuss Mental Health Month this May and talk about the challenges that come with difficult-to-treat depression. I am so excited to have both of you on. Dr. Harding, let's start with you. Can you tell us about the signs and symptoms of clinical depression and how common it is?
Thank you so much for having us, especially in this month. And, thank you to Johnson & Johnson for working with us to get this information out. First and foremost, I think depression should be diagnosed by a clinician. But when we talk about depression, we talk about the persistence of low mood and anhedonia, which is a technical term for people that really just don't enjoy life and are not able to participate in that. And that goes on for about 2 weeks. Most of that's intuitive to most of us when we can see someone and think, maybe they look a little bit sad. The minor symptoms are a little bit more elusive. The minor symptoms of depression refer to the symptoms that we don't often attribute to depression. Depression can cause insomnia. Depression can cause hypersomnia, can cause people to sleep too much. Depression can affect our appetite. Patients can tend to lose weight or sometimes gain weight when they're depressed. Depression can actually influence the way in which we concentrate. Patients can actually develop poor concentration. And so it's that constellation or the combination of those two major and minor symptoms that we determine as clinical depression. A subset of clinical depression is treatment-resistant depression. So they're exhibiting the major and minor symptoms, but these patients, like Mark with us here today, have tried and actually not responded to more than 2 antidepressants at adequate dose and duration, and it's the first time we have a treatment that can help patients with treatment-resistant depression that's FDA approved.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can you talk to us about some of those treatments or the treatment you're alluding to?
So Spravato was FDA approved in 2019. It's an intranasal spray that, for safety reasons, has to be done in a doctor's office or a REMS-certified treatment center. It's administered with or without an oral antidepressant. The FDA actually granted permission for the drug just this year to be used with or without an oral antidepressant. And it is the first time that we have a treatment that can target a different mechanism of action for depression. For the past 40 years, we have all the drugs have targeted depression in only one way, meaning the neurotransmitters. So they either target serotonin, norepinephrine, or dopamine. And this is the first FDA-approved product that targets glutamate. Glutamate is what we call an excitatory neurotransmitter, and so that's the proposed mechanism of action.
It's fantastic. Mark, you've lived through this. Talk to us about your experience with the treatment-resistant depression.
Sure thing. First of all, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to you and your listeners, and thanks to Johnson & Johnson for the same. I'll start off with depression. Depression with me manifests itself in the classic symptoms, depressed mood, just not feeling good. But it also deprived me of the ability to feel any joy from anything. So social activities, hobbies, sporting events, music, whatever it may be, things that I really spent my life enjoying, I just lost interest in those things because they brought me no joy. And as the years go on and you go through life and one year turns into another and you're going through life without feeling any joy, you don't have anything to look forward to. You don't look forward to the family reunion or the concert that's coming up or the Super Bowl or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. You don't look forward to those things, so it makes life tough to live. You're just going through the motions. You feel like a robot or a zombie, and you go through, you drag your feet one day to the next and do the bare minimum that you have to do to get by and pay the bills. And, honestly, that's no way to live life.
So true. As a doctor, I teach medical students when we give a diagnosis of high blood pressure or congestive heart failure or diabetes or depression, that's a big commitment, giving that diagnosis. And we have to understand what patients might be thinking when they are given the diagnosis. So talk to us about how you felt when you were, when you received that diagnosis of depression.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it's going to be really relevant to a lot of people my age and my generation, is that I initially went to my family doctor because I didn't feel good physically. I didn't have a lot of energy, insomnia. I didn't have a desire to do a lot of things. I felt lazy, for lack of a better term. And I thought there was something physically wrong with me. And it turns out, I was clinically depressed, as Dr. Harding said, with the secondary side effects or the minor side effects. And I was in disbelief. I'm of an age where we didn't talk about mental health when I was growing up. It wasn't in our vocabulary. Depression wasn't in our vocabulary. If it was a condition that was so extreme, you're talking about somebody that would be a recluse or something like that. So I was in disbelief and somewhat in denial out of just sheer stubbornness, because a diagnosis of depression at the time I felt like was something I could just power through. I can will my way out of depression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a smart guy. Mm-hmm. And when I educated myself on what depression really was and understood the diagnosis was when I tried to start making progress, whether it was through oral antidepressants or exercise or changing lifestyles. You know, I did all the textbook things the textbook things at the time to combat the depression, and nothing seemed to work for me. It was like as I would try one medicine and not have success with that, I would go to the next, and each successive step only made my depression worse, because each time it failed to make me feel better, I brought that back onto myself and blamed myself for that, not on the treatment regimen or the science behind it. It was my fault, is the way I looked at it.
Right. So talk to about your current treatment plan.
So a couple of years ago, just almost 2 years ago to the date, I was seeing my therapist because I'd kind of given up on getting better. So I was doing some talk therapy and trying to help myself that way. And she introduced me to Spravato, which was, I think, about 3 years old at the time, and referred me to the clinic that I attend today. And so I went to the clinic, got an evaluation, and the evaluation showed that I was textbook for treatment-resistant depression, because I'd tried 5 different antidepressants 7 different times. And I was physically fit enough to be a candidate for Spravato. So I started the initial treatment regimen, which is 2 treatments per week for 4 weeks, and then going on a maintenance schedule after that. And after the first week, which was my second treatment, I noticed that the clarity in my brain and my thought process was better. There were less intrusive thoughts. My thoughts were more organized, and I just had less clutter and noise in my brain. So after only 2 treatments, I started to see a positive effect from it.
Oh, it's amazing.
You combine that. It was amazing. And when I woke up that next morning and just kind of took assessment of how I felt, I was surprised. I was shocked, and I was in somewhat disbelief. I was like, I feel so much better just out of 2 treatments. This can't be sustainable, is what I told myself. Well, 2 years later, I'll tell you, for me personally, it is sustainable. And so today, I'm a person who I look forward to the things that I enjoy doing. I am more social. I'm a better partner to my wife. I'm a better family member. And I look forward to the next day.
Yes,
I looked forward
absolutely.
to talking to you today and discussing this topic and getting the word out.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Yeah. So in closing,
just,
I apologize. It looks like we're coming up on break. Dr. Harding or Mark, can you tell our listeners where they can go for more information?
Definitely. After the evaluation, you can go to Spravato.com. It has all the important safety information. If you are a physician like yourself and you want more information, they have the clinical trials posted on there. And if you are a patient, there's a portion of the website that has a lot of the information in layman's terms.
Love it. Dr. Harding, Mark, thank you so much for having us. Can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away, guys. Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So one of the biggest issues with this election was the border. And in addition to fentanyl crossings and some wolves in sheep's clothing, as migrants and refugees were trying to come here for refuge, there would be criminals that would come across. An issue that wasn't talked about on the campaign trail that needed to be more was the trafficking world. And I'm being told that at any given moment, an estimated 50 million people are being victimized in situations of trafficking and exploitation, and a quarter of them are children. Now, we don't have a lot of people coming out and speaking out on it. And so people don't talk about it. It's not an easy conversation to have. I am extremely grateful for our next guest. John Devaney has a film called City of Dreams. It's an inspiring story about a young boy's courageous battle to free himself from the brutal grasp of slavery and human trafficking. Inspired by true events, City of Dreams tells the story of a young Mexican boy whose aspirations of becoming a soccer star are derailed when he's trafficked across the border and sold into forced labor in Los Angeles. This is a powerful, powerful story. And I am so, so grateful for John Devaney to be able to come on the show and discuss what Manor House Films and he has done to get this story out. John, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. My pleasure to come on the show with you today.
Wow. City of Dreams. I haven't seen it yet. I am going to. Gripping tale, resilience, hope, and looking at this boy's journey. Talk to us about what this story is.
So it is a wonderful, wonderful story about a young Mexican boy who was misled, thinking that he was going to a soccer camp in the United States, and he was trafficked across the border by some bad guys, and he was brought to a garment-making sweatshop in Los Angeles and held captive with about 20 other children. And the story shows the abuse these children are enduring. They're forced to work, they're beaten, the conditions are just awful. But the story shows how Jesus, the main character in the story, he had the courage to fight against the captors for his freedom and ultimately to free the other children in the story. It's a thriller. It keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout the entire story. There's so much suspense. The cinematography is just fabulous. All the visuals are excellent in the story. There are some dream sequences that they clearly are giving Jesus a break from the terrible conditions. His dream is to be a soccer superstar. And so the movie has these breaks where he starts dreaming in his own mind of being a star, and the colors go from very dark and dim flickering lights, a dungeon almost. And then all of a sudden he's out on the soccer pitch in London, and he's a superstar. And there's a bright green grass, and all the jerseys are white and green, and the white colors, and he's winning. And the movie flip-flops between these dream sequences, and the dream sequences show the audience that there is hope. There's hope for the children, and there's hope for Jesus, and ultimately, in the end, the children are freed. I mean, I was so touched and moved by the story. I don't cry very often in movies, and this movie brought me to tears. I
got 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so congratulations on that. You know what I'm so appreciative for is when people see these films, especially with the realism to it, and they learn something. I don't think a lot of parents understand. There was one recent story of child trafficking where the kids were being offered a talent camp. It's very similar, where they were going for a photo shoot, and then immediately they were trafficked away, and the parents go back to the area where the auditions or the photo shoot was supposed to happen, and they don't see their kids again. And so this also kind of makes parents aware of how to protect their children. And you had a lot of big names surrounding this: Luis Fonsi, Ari Lopez, Jason Patrick. Stellar cast, people working on this, and I love to see the industry, especially the Hollywood industry, music industry, kind of come together for something so poignant and important.
Yeah, that's right. There are some really generous folks that have offered up their services. I mean, Luis Fonsi is a Grammy winning artist. He He had the music video Despacito that had 8 billion views, the most views ever of a music video. And he saw the movie like myself. He cried. And he said, you know what, I want to help, just like I did. And he donated a wonderful song called City of Dreams. And then he recorded a music video that took several days. I was there while he recorded that. And so Lisa Gerard is a very famous composer. She wrote the orchestra music for the movie. She pretty much did it for free. She saw the movie and was very, very, impacted, and she cried. And then we've got a lot of celebrity spokespeople. There's a couple other business leaders. Tony Robbins, one of my mentors. I mean, we're kind of in the same. He's a little older than me, but he's now appeared on TV and podcasts, probably 12 times now, using his voice. He's gone undercover in Haiti, he was telling me, and he helped to save some children from child trafficking and sexual trafficking in Haiti. And so Vivek Ramaswamy, he saw the movie. He's appeared on TV trying to use this movie to raise awareness about this topic of child trafficking that you had said earlier. I mean, it's just awful. Child trafficking in the borders of the United States is up 400% in about 6 years. And, and some of it it does have to do with the U.S. border and the inflow of legal and illegal immigrants that have come across our border. Unfortunately, Housing and Homeland Services, one of the entities that had vetted the unaccompanied minor children, they just didn't have a lot of vetting. And Hannah Dreier of the New York Times has now done almost 20 articles on child trafficking. She's really the only reporter of any newspaper or magazine and any TV show over the last 4 or 5 years that, I have to say this, but had the courage to speak up. The media has suppressed this issue of child trafficking. They're pretending that it's not up 400%. And she found a number of whistleblowers that worked in those entities at the border that admitted that there was very little vetting, that they warned all their superiors that the lack of vetting could lead to trafficking, and they sent the unaccompanied minor children out anyway. They found these cells where there'll be 20. She had written about some places in, I think, Minnesota where there was 20 kids sleeping on the floor of 2 bedrooms, and the vans were coming to pick them up, and they worked the night shift
we're out of time. Sorry, John, we're out of time. How can my listeners find the movie?
Yep, it's on all the places. You can rent it for $5.99 or buy it for $9.99. It's on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, DirecTV, Dish. It's pretty much everywhere.
City of Dreams. John Devaney, thank you and your team so much, and we can't wait to have you back.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Take care. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away, guys.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to $299, $799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE $299, $799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's free $299, $799. Again, free $299, $799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So we were making huge progress in terms of smoking cessation, and then we got a little bit of a kind of a lull in that when COVID hit, and we still have millions of Americans who smoke and are at risk for one of the most common cancers in the world. Lung cancer causes more deaths than any other cancer in the U.S., accounting for 1 in 4 cancer deaths. So we still have a lot of work to do. I am very excited to have Dr. Louis Godoy back. He is an assistant professor in general thoracic surgery at UC Davis Health. He specializes in lung cancer surgery and patient care, special interest in minimally invasive thoracic surgery. And Dr. Godoy's research involves surgical quality improvement, surgical outcomes, clinical oncology trials, and addressing healthcare disparities in thoracic oncology. So who better than to come and join us to talk to us about lung cancer and what are some of the latest in terms of treatments and opportunities for people. Dr. Godoy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daliah. It's a pleasure to be back on your show.
Wonderful. We really appreciate you and glad you have the time to come back on. Screening for lung cancer. We've made a lot of advancements. We've expanded what insurance can cover. Talk to us about lung cancer screening.
Yes, now the guidelines for lung cancer screening, it's pretty much aimed at high-risk patients. So these patients are the ones that fall within the age range of 50 to 80 years old, someone who either currently smokes or have quit within the past 15 years and have at least what's calculated as a 20-pack-year smoking history. So what that translates into is into someone who smokes like 1 pack per day for 20 years or 2 packs per day for 10 years. So there's a calculation that has to be made to see if you qualify. And so I always advise patients, if they're a current smoker, former smoker, to ask their doctor, can you help me calculate this to see if I qualify for lung cancer screening?
Amen. Amen. And, a lot of people remember their relatives and what they went through with lung cancer, but we have so many more advancements now. And the general public isn't aware that there was so much more we could do. Lung cancer does not always mean death sentence. Talk to us about some of the personalized therapies that are out there. That's
right. There's been a lot of changes. There's a huge shift in the way that we've started or we've continued to treat lung cancer, especially within the last 10 years and more so in the past 5 years. And down the line, there's a lot of clinical trials underway right now that are showing drastic improvement. So, there's advances surgically. So we're doing minimally invasive surgery. People are recovering a lot faster, are able to go home and resume their daily lives sooner. We have a lot of efforts now with personalized therapies. So what we've discovered now is we know now that all cancers are not the same. So what we can do is we can take a biopsy sample from a lung tumor, we can send it to the lab and run a genetic profile on the tumor and identify specific mutations of that cancer in particular. And so we have an arsenal of targeted therapies that are designed to target these mutations in efforts to minimize side effects and enhance the treatment by effectively destroying the cancer cells while preserving and leaving the healthy cells unharmed. Now, this has really shifted the lung expectancy, the life expectancy of patients with lung cancer.
You know, I have a lot of patients who say, well, it's too late now to quit. I've already done the damage. And I talk to them about how the lungs are still a very, very brilliant organ and how we see amazing reversals of pathology as it pertains to the heart and lungs, even with 1 week, 1 month of quitting. Talk to us about the smoking cessation and what that does.
Yes, you know, quitting smoking not only has like a profound effect on the lungs themselves, but for your overall general health. That's probably one of the most important things that a person can do to improve their overall health. Now, even for patients, for example, who get diagnosed with lung cancer, if they quit smoking at the time of their diagnosis, we see, you know, there's a paper recently that came out that shows that quitting smoking at the time of diagnosis can extend your lifespan by up to 2 years approximately. So it has drastic effects not only on the lung, but on all of your other organ systems as well.
So what are some of your favorite smoking cessation programs? I know a lot of people pivot to vaping, but I think there's much healthier avenues. What do you suggest to your patients?
Yeah, so we have several quality improvement projects. For example, the American College of Surgeons, we have the Just Ask and Beyond Ask projects that are aimed to increase access to, and this is important, empathetic smoking cessation resources. The reason why I say empathetic is because there's always been a stigma on smoking, and some patients feel, you know, like, oh, this is something that's self-inflicted. I can't approach my provider. So our goal is to provide these resources to patients to help them obtain these practical strategies by creating this welcoming environment to discuss, you know, for the patients to be able to discuss with their provider their goals of pursuing, you know, smoking cessation.
Yeah, and you know, we tell people don't be embarrassed. I understand there's been a lot of quit smoking campaigns, and you know, doctors have been very, very aggressive because we want to save lives. But I think a lot of people do misinterpret the stigma attached. And I understand that many of my patients who smoked, you know, served tours in the military, or struggled with anxiety or a loss or depression. And so it's not just about, you know, stop smoking and don't come back if you smoke. You know, it's, look, we're going to help you transition out and also be there for the reasons that you chose to. I had a woman in my office saying, oh, I could quit smoking anytime. And I go, well, why do you smoke? She goes, well, this is how I keep my weight down. And so we have individuals who struggle with obesity turning to smoking. And so it's our job as doctors to not just say quit smoking, but to also be there to, you know, help you as to the why you're smoking and help you find a safer alternative.
You're 100% correctly. In my practice, I treat a lot of veterans, and you know, back in the days, people got cigarettes in their rations, and this is before, you know, the general public knew that smoking caused lung cancer. Right. Now we know that smoking is associated with it, but they didn't know. So it's not their fault that they got hooked on this, on nicotine early on.
Yeah. Any other information you'd like to share in the last minute with my listeners?
Yes, you know, even if you don't smoke, if your loved one smokes, your aunt, uncle, brother, parent, ask them to ask their doctor, encourage them to ask for lung cancer screening. In addition, you can visit the website at the American College of Surgeons. The website is facs.org/lung cancer, and you can see resources that are available, treatment strategies and resources for smoking cessation on our website.
Dr. Godoy, we really appreciate you and all the work the American College of Surgeons do, and thank you for helping raise awareness as November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. Glad to have you. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Like Dr. Godoy said, do not be afraid. No provider should make you feel bad or stupid or that you did wrong. We understand how things have been. We understand, how people will turn to, smoking or alcohol or food when they're dealing with other things. Let us do our job, all right? And if anybody does make you feel that way, find another physician, because we're in this to help you get better and stay healthy. 1-877-Dr. Dolly. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by Financial Fitness Show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.